Hello, welcome to Lemon News, where we talk anything and everything entertainment. I'm, of course, the Lemon himself, Zeke Lemon, and this is my review for the December 2nd episode of Monday Night Raw of 2024. But before we get into that, let's get the house clean out of the way, shall we? I'm to leave a like, comment below, let me know your thoughts on this week's episode of Monday Night Raw, and of course, hit that subscribe button as it helps me grow into my YouTube career. I would greatly appreciate it. Now, all that out of the way, let's get into the review, shall we? So, look, I'm going to just tell y'all right now, I honestly think this was the best episode of Raw since we've gone to 2 hours. I mean, flown by. It seemed like nothing was left off the bone, because that was one of the things that we've been talking about ever since they gone to 2 hours, is that the roster was so stacked and some people just got left behind, and some people are suffering from going from 3 hours to 2. I think the Wyatt Six feud with the Final Testament would be much more deeper if we were 3 hours. I think Chad Gable would be showcased a hell of a lot more, and just American Made and that LWO feud would be featured a lot more, where we can actually sink our teeth into it if it wasn't for the time snap. And I also think Pure Fusion Collective is the one that hurt the most. Lyra Valkyria, I can go on and on and on about some people who are just not necessarily getting left behind, but the focus won't be back on to until we go back to 3 hours in January. And now they're just like, okay, let's not try to fit everyone in. Let's just focus on the stars that we have, especially now that the roster is starting to get back to full force. I mean, Drew McIntyre coming back at the end of the show. I thought we could move that a little bit because there was so much that was happening on this. I think it really felt like we did too much good, which is a horrible criticism to have. It was just one of those things. I was like, oh, Jey Uso got attacked, and they were like, oh, well, Seth Rollins. And I'm just like, okay, well, it's clearly not Seth Rollins. It's probably Drew McIntyre. Like, I was literally thinking, I was like, okay, this will be a good little, whodunit, if you will, for the next following 2 weeks. And then maybe after Saturday Night's Live main event, Drew McIntyre comes back, and then we're off to the races to 2025. But no, we did it here tonight. And again, it was just a case of so many riches on this episode of Raw. Kicks off with this amazing promo from CM Punk, Seth Rollins, Jey Uso, and Sami Zayn, mainly Sami Zayn and Seth Rollins. Punk coming out saying, look, my path is clear. I'm going to the main event of WrestleMania, and I have a couple favors I can cash in on. I really thought the favor would be for him to get the World Heavyweight title match at Saturday night's main event. I thought that would be a way to get to the quick build. We're going to do Finn Balor versus Gunther, which I'm not really sure on, because y'all know my thing. And, I talked about it when Liv Morgan was going to go after the tag titles with Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill, and the same with Bianca Belair going after Liv Morgan's title. I'm fine with Finn Balor versus Gunther. Finn Balor just needs to drop that damn title. And considering they hardly ever defend it, and I know they're incorporated into the storyline, it doesn't necessarily make it good. Again, Saturday Night's main event is within 2 weeks, and Gunther versus Finn Balor is going to be a good match. Right? It's going to be a fantastic match, especially if they're given time to do it, especially with the characters are. Now that it seems like Gunther is being a little bit of a tweener, where, he's in a storyline that we can all relate to. He's down in his luck, and he needs to prove to himself to get back to his ways. Although we did get some Dirty Dom chants, I don't know if that's a testament to Dom's work, or maybe the crowd's starting to turn on Gunther a little bit, or maybe Gunther is just too good of a heel. I think that is something to look out for. And also, when Finn Balor was hitting the coup de grace multiple times, they were going one more time, like they were for Bronson Reed. It could be just a case that, WWE fans are just having fun. But I do think that is something to look out for. But I am liking what we're doing with Gunther regardless. Because, again, that is so intriguing to me, because now Gunther is kind of like the face in the story, because there's no way Balor is. Now, they did say, we're going to talk about your other title defense as well. I wouldn't be surprised if they, I hope anyway, that they make Balor do double duty at Saturday Night's main event. You're going to get a rematch with the War Raiders at Saturday Night's main event, and then you're going to face Gunther later on. But also at the same time, it's like, why do that? So we'll see. We'll keep an eye on it. That's really the only thing that's making me not like the story, because how we got there, I did enjoy quite a bit. It's just the fact that he is one half of the tag team champions. I just think he should be focusing on those tag team championships, because it really does just make those titles mean less than they already do right now. It's such a bad year when it comes to the tag division, but I do think WWE is going to course correct in 2025 to give more focus to the tag division as well. We also got the Intercontinental Women's Tournament going on. Really liked that Dakota Kai got the nod to move on. If I had to guess what the finals are, I would hope it's Dakota Kai versus Lyra Valkyria. which I do think is going to be Lyra Valkyria's tournament to lose. They were really high on her when they drafted her. She was someone who got suffered from going from 3 hours to 2. I think, again, if we stay at 3 hours for the whole year, I think she is a much bigger star because she was having that feud with Vision Collective. And I think that would have been the Women's War Games match, again, if the time doesn't get cut by a whole entire hour. But now I think it's like, okay, now we could reamp her. She can go on this tournament and she can win. And especially because I'm pretty sure it's going to be Chelsea Green versus Michin in the finals. And Chelsea Green is going to win Saturday Night's main event. And therefore, we have one heel mid-card champion. And then we can have our face mid-card champion at on the Raw brand with the Intercontinental title. We also have, looks like it's going to be Ludwig Kaiser versus Braun Breaker 101 for the title. I'm all for it. I'm good if it gets greenlit for Saturday night's main event. That could be fun. The person who didn't get pinned faces the champion who defended it. Pretty simple story, and it looks like Braun Breaker will work face with that. I like how what we're doing with Braun Breaker, where he can kind of do both. He could be both face, he could be both heel. It just depends on what the story is calling him to do. And he plays both lines very well. But yeah, back to the main bread and butter of the show, and it was 2 moments. And, well, really 3, because we're throwing the main event with this too, is the... Well, before we get into that, let's go back. And let's talk about Liv Morgan's championship, because Saturday night's main event is Io Sky versus Liv Morgan. No problems there. The only thing is that, I said on my War Games review as well, is that I was pretty sure they either do Liv versus Io on some random episode of Raw or at Saturday night's main event, and the winner will face Rhea on the first episode of Raw on Netflix, because I do think they're going to treat that as kind of like a pay-per-view. And I think that whole week is going to be like PLE week on free TV, if you will. And it basically got confirmed that Rhea goes, look, I'm not going to interfere in your match at all whatsoever because I respect the title. But champion, whoever wins, I'm coming for that person. I don't care who it is. And, we did what we always do. There was Damage Control versus versus Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. Raquel pins Kairi Sane, was the right move to do. They jump Io. This is My Brutality plays mega pop, and then Rhea comes out and goes to kick some ass, and then Raquel and Liv get the upper hand by throwing her into the table. And the only problem I have with it right now, unless it's by design and they're going to swerve us, is that Io Sky feels like an afterthought. It just feels like, okay, we know where the money is. That first episode of Raw on Netflix, Liv Morgan versus Rhea Ripley for the Women's World title, which will hopefully be the final chapter. Which also makes it clear that, hey, Liv Morgan is going to retain the title. So yeah, we already booked ourselves into Io Sky, so we just got to get through that. But yeah, don't worry about that, because again, she was just completely overlooked on because Rhea went for the attack as well. And it's the only thing that's not setting right with me on it. I'm all fine with Rhea Ripley looking like a badass. I'm all fine with her looking super strong. Raquel Rodriguez versus Rhea Ripley next week. Looking forward to it. It's just that, look, you are just focus on Io versus Liv right now. Once you get past that, bring Rhea back in. And, there's some ways you could write about it. I know it's a really hard spot to be in because, yeah, there's no way Rhea just stays out of that when Raquel and Liv are jumping her. But, again, it was just one of those things where I'm just like, well, give Io the focus that she deserves because, again, she does feel like an afterthought. Unless that is by design, because if you remember WrestleMania 27 with The Rock and John Cena, where, like, that was the feud and The Miz was an afterthought for the most part, and The Miz retained. If we swerve and, like, it's by design to make Io an afterthought because she is going to win, maybe we do a triple threat on that first Netflix, or maybe Rhea and Liv just have a blood feud on that first Raw on Netflix, or maybe Rhea does win the title at that first Raw, and then we do Mania 41, Liv versus Rhea, which, again, it just seems like a really long time to keep stretching this feud out. But it is a possibility that we can do. I hope that is the direction that we go in. Unless next week we can really put some focus on Io and really light her up a little bit more, because, again, she does feel a little bit like an afterthought on this. Okay, now that all the other stuff's out of the way, let's get into the bread and butter of this, right? The opening segment, the main event, Drew McIntyre coming back. Someone attacked Jey Uso. All for that, I'm just curious to see what the reason behind Drew's is, because it could be one of two things. and it's just something that we've already seen from Drew, which has worked time and time again. I just want to see that extra layer from it, because it's either one, he's going back to what made him go down this spiral from the first part, which was Roman Reigns, the bloodline, Jey Uso and Sami Zayn reformed the OG bloodline. Drew's looking for a revenge. Already seen that, not really fully attached to that. Or two, you teamed with CM Punk, you shook hands with CM Punk. It looks like you have respect for CM Punk, therefore I'm going to attack you. Which again just seems like an attachment to the previous feud that we all thought that we were moving on from. So I don't know if I'm really fully on board with that either, but also it just makes so much sense with Drew McIntyre's character that I will wait and see what happens on Monday. But again, the only two logical steps I can think of as to why Drew attacked Jey and why Drew is attacking Sami is from old wounds of either Roman or for teaming up with CM Punk, which again is just like, I've already heard that. I've already seen that. What more can you give me? But again, we'll tune into Monday for that as well. And again, the roster just keeps getting much more healthy and much more thicker. Again, this episode of Raw just flew by. And then we have the opening segment. Rollins coming out to interrupt Punk, saying, look, let's fight. And Punk's like, look, you don't have the title anymore. You're no longer my focus. I don't really care about you. You may think about me for 6 months. I haven't thought about you at all. It looked like they actually punched each other for a little bit because Punk's nose was a little red. So I wonder if there was just that case of like, look, we don't like each other. Let's just swing on each other for a little bit. Or there was a little bit of a mess up there too, because I do know Rollins and Punk are cordial backstage. They probably don't like each other at all still, but they are at least nice enough and they can have a conversation backstage about what they are going to do. I don't think the red stuff, the bruise on the nose is intentional by any means necessary. Unless you're just like, look, we both hate each other. There's no reason for us to like lay off. Let's hit each other. Let's just get it all out, you know? But yeah, and then once Punk goes out and Jake gets him escorted, Sami and Seth going back and forth. And like, I just felt so rewarded for being a fan for, what is it? I started watching in 2007 for about the 15 years. For the 15 years that I have been watching this brand, especially for the last 10, when Seth Rollins took that chair, well, not 10, yeah, 10 years, 2015, when he took that chair and he hit it in the back of Roman Reigns and he goes, look, you created that monster. Well, Sami, you also hit him with the chair too, but, you know, there was completely different things. And I gotta say, I think I'm on Team Seth. He was making a lot more sense to me with some of the lines. Like, yeah, Sami was like bringing the receipts, like, dude, I asked you twice. I didn't want to team with Punk. If you would have just accepted, none of this would have been a problem. And he's like, no, I don't want to team with him. We sacrificed so much to bring this tyrant down, and then you just go right back to him. And, you know, we have this history. It was just a really nice, beautiful back and forth. And that first 30 minutes, I mean, flew by. And it was just amazing to see. But the main bread and butter of this episode, and we talked about it last week, it was the main reason why I was tuning in, why I could not miss this episode of Raw. I thought it'd be more like 2 segments, maybe 3, and they completely swerved us in the whole other way possible, that everyone thought one of 2 things could happen. Either the New Day is going to break up and it's going to be really sad, or Big E's going to come back and be their manager and we're all going to rejoice. No one thought, and I mean no one thought, that it would be both. Triple H legit said dos que los nos dos. I do believe that is the term. And said, let's do both. We're going to have Big E come out and say, look, I'll be your manager because the way you are talking to each other is breaking my heart. And they're like, oh, now you want to come back to us? And they completely derail him. Even bring his girlfriend in too. And I was just like, damn, man, what did she do? All she did was start dating the guy. You don't gotta bring him down. And I wonder if Big E is going to start coming back week to week and get this, because they did it. I thought it was no way possible you could turn the New Day heel. Again, because, you know, they're just so embedded with the merchandise and the power of positivity, so on and so forth. It's just like, we love the New Day. They're like, well, how can we turn them heel? We'll have them turn on Big E, the one guy that cannot be cleared and can really defend himself too. And I again, he's probably not clear for any physical contact whatsoever. I mean, the neck you got to be very, very sensitive with. Part of it was like, clothesline him. Like, just take it that extra degree and make him more evil. But nope, that doesn't happen. He breaks out. I would assume this is going to be an ongoing storyline. I do wish, again, we didn't have heel tag team champions and it was the War Raiders, because I'd be like, yeah, put the titles on New Day now and watch them just go to work. Because, you know, when they got together, like, look, all we have is each other now. Now Kofi's completely bought into the psychotic nature of Xavier Woods to go completely dark side. Karrion Kross is smiling from one side because it's all what he wanted from the New Day. And it looks like Karrion Kross is now developing that kind of how Bray Wyatt's Fiend was, where you go, okay, look, you're going to turn characters due to your feud with Karrion Kross. Look at Xavier Woods. He was complete babyface, had a feud with Karrion Kross, and had a few conversations. He started turning heel. Now Kofi has followed suit, because Kofi also had conversations with Karrion Kross. The Miz was a face, had conversations with Karrion Kross, and now he's heel on the dark side. They'll be having a match with the Y6 next week. And I just wish I was more excited for it. I have enjoyed the feud. I just wish it was more present and showcased throughout the whole entire weeks, as opposed to, all right, we have a little bit of a stop here and then we come back to it, so on and so forth. But I am looking forward to the 8-man tag. I just wish I was more invested within it. But yeah, just great stuff all the way through. Now on to the next chapter. The New Day that we once were are no more. And again, this episode of Raw was just absolutely fantastic. It was just a rich of goodies all the way through. Again, it's a dumb criticism to make. It was just too much good. We probably could have spread some of these out a little bit throughout the weeks, but man, what a show. Again, the best show ever since we've gone to 2 hours. Full throttle. We're getting ready to head into the road to WrestleMania. Let me know what y'all think about it down in the comment section. If you made it this far in the review, please leave a like. I would greatly appreciate it. And again, hit that subscribe button, as we have a lot heading your way over to you, especially if you're into movies and television. It's going to be a very busy 2025. Skeleton Crew review will be up tomorrow. And again, we have Saturday Night's Main Event review coming up that we're on Netflix. A lot of things heading your way. So hit that subscribe button to be along for the ride. And until next time, guys, I'll see you here at Limit Studios.